The rain hammered against the cracked windshield as Marcus. Chen sat in his 15-year-old Honda, watching his daughters through the foggy window of the public library. 8-year-old Sophia had her arm around 6-year-old Emma, both hunched over a single picture book in the children's section. It was warm inside, safe. That's why Marcus brought them here. Every evening after his shift at the warehouse ended, pretending he had errands to run while they read. The truth was simpler and more devastating. He couldn't afford to heat their studio apartment until absolutely necessary. Winter in Cleveland was unforgiving, but not nearly as cold as the silence from his family ever since Rachel left. Marcus pressed his forehead against the steering wheel, fighting back the burn behind his eyes. Strong men don't cry, his father used to say. But his father also said family sticks together, and that promise had shattered like everything else in Marcus's life 2 years ago, when his wife walked out, when his parents chose sides, when his siblings stopped returning calls. They said he must have done something wrong. Good wives don't just leave. The whispers at family gatherings, the accusations, the blame, it all fell on his shoulders until he stopped showing up altogether. His parents made their position clear. Figure it out yourself. You made your bed. Now it was just him and his girls against the world, held together by dollar store mac and cheese, library books, and a love so fierce it physically hurt. Marcus worked doubles when he could, his body aching from loading boxes for 10 hours straight. The warehouse job paid $9.50 an hour, not enough for childcare, barely enough for rent. His neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, a widow on a fixed income, watched the girls after school for whatever he could spare. Some weeks that was $20, some weeks it was a grocery bag of whatever he could manage. She never complained, never asked for more, just hugged his daughters like they were her own grandchildren and sent them home with cookies. She claimed she'd accidentally made too many of. The library door opened, and Sophia emerged, holding Emma's hand. Marcus straightened, wiping his face quickly, painting on the smile his daughters needed to see. He honked lightly, and their faces lit up despite everything. That's what killed him most, their resilience, their joy, their absolute faith that Daddy would make everything okay. "Did you finish your errands?" Sophia asked as they climbed in, bringing the warmth of the library with them. "All done, sweetheart." The lie tasted bitter. "What did you read today?" Emma bounced in her booster seat. "A princess story." But this princess saved herself. She didn't need a prince. "That's my girl," Marcus said, meeting her eyes in the rearview mirror. "You can save yourself, both of you. Remember that." At the apartment, Marcus made dinner while the girls did homework at the card table that served as their dining room, desk and craft station. Spaghetti with butter. The sauce had been a luxury he couldn't swing this week. Sophia noticed but said nothing, and that silence was worse than any complaint. After dinner, baths in lukewarm water, and bedtime stories, Marcus tucked them into the double bed they shared. He slept on the couch, though calling it sleep was generous. Mostly he lay awake, calculating numbers that never added up, praying for miracles he'd stopped believing in. Thursday brought the electric bill, a shut-off notice in aggressive red letters. Friday brought Sophia's field trip permission slip, requiring $30 he didn't have. Saturday brought Emma's cough, the kind that rattled in her chest and made his heart stop with each wheeze. By Sunday, Marcus was applying for a third part-time job, knowing the math would destroy him but seeing no other option. That's when the lawyers showed up. 2 men in suits so expensive they looked computer-generated stood in the doorway of his apartment building. Marcus was returning from the laundromat, girls in tow, dragging a garbage bag of clean clothes because their suitcase had broken months ago. "Marcus Chen?" the taller one asked. Marcus's first thought was debt collectors. His second was immigration trouble, though his family had been American for 3 generations. His third was that somehow, impossibly, Rachel was suing for custody despite abandoning them. "Who's asking?" "I'm Robert Ashford, and this is my colleague James. Park, we're from Ashford and Associates in New York. We've been looking for you for 6 months. It's regarding the estate of Dr. Patricia Hoffman. The name hit Marcus like a physical blow. Dr. Hoffman, his college mentor, the woman who'd believed in a scared first-generation kid from a poor neighborhood, who'd pushed him to pursue graduate school, who'd written recommendation letters and made phone calls and opened doors. He'd lost touch after dropping out when Rachel got pregnant with Sophia, too ashamed to maintain contact with someone who'd had such high hopes for him. Dr. Hoffman passed away? Marcus's voice cracked. 18 months ago, I'm afraid. We've been trying to locate you, but you've moved several times. What does this have to do with me? Mr. Ashford glanced at the girls, then back at Marcus. Perhaps we could speak privately. Anything you can say in front of my daughters. The lawyers exchanged glances. Mr. Park opened his briefcase and withdrew a folder. Dr. Hoffman never married, had no children. Her will designates several charitable organizations as beneficiaries, but it also includes a personal bequest. She left specific instructions regarding you, Mr. Chen. She established a trust in your name, and in the names of any children you might have. Marcus's mouth went dry. A trust? I don't understand. Dr. Patricia Hoffman had an estate valued at approximately $200 million. The world tilted. Marcus grabbed the stair railing, certain he'd heard wrong. The trust established for you and your daughters contains $30 million. Sophia gasped. Emma, not fully understanding, squeezed her sister's hand. Marcus couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process the words being spoken. There must be a mistake. I was just her student. I haven't spoken to her in years. There's no mistake. Mr. Ashford pulled out a letter. The handwriting, unmistakably Dr. Hoffman's spidery script. She left this for you. Marcus's hands shook as he unfolded the paper. My dear Marcus, if you're reading this, I've shuffled off this mortal coil and hopefully made my exit with some dignity and tact. I'm writing this after my diagnosis, knowing I won't see how your story ends. That breaks my heart more than my own ending. You were the most brilliant student I ever taught, but more importantly, you were kind. Do you remember tutoring other students for free, sharing your textbooks when you could barely afford them yourself? The way you checked on Professor Martinez when he was ill, bringing him soup from that terrible cafeteria because it was all you could afford. I watched you, Marcus. I saw someone who understood that success means nothing if you climb alone. I heard about your struggles these past years. I have my ways of keeping tabs on former students who mattered. I know about Rachel leaving, about your family's cruel abandonment, about the jobs and the sacrifices. I know you gave up your dreams to give your daughters a childhood. This money isn't charity, it's investment. I'm investing in goodness because our world has so little of it. I'm investing in a man who knows struggle, who won't forget what it's like to choose between medicine and meals. Use it well. Finish your education if you wish. But more than that, be happy. Let your daughters see their father smile without worry creasing his forehead. Take them to the ocean. Buy the books without checking the price. Keep your heat on in winter. And Marcus, one day when you're able, find someone struggling the way you struggled. Help them quietly without recognition. That's all I ask. The world needs more people like you. I'm just making sure it gets to keep one. With deep affection and belief in you, Patricia. Marcus read it twice, 3 times, tears streaming freely now. His daughters pressed against him. Sophia reading over his shoulder, both of them crying without fully understanding why. Daddy? Emma whispered, does this mean you don't have to work all the time? He pulled them close, his voice breaking. Yeah, baby, it means I can be home. The lawyers explained the trust structure, the legal requirements, the investment strategies. Marcus heard maybe half of it, his mind reeling. They'd verify his identity, process paperwork, but the money was real. The security was real. That night, Marcus turned the heat up. The radiator clanked to life for the first time in weeks, filling their small apartment with warmth. He ordered pizza with toppings and let the girls choose a movie on the streaming service. They'd cancelled months ago. They fell asleep on the couch, one on each side of him, full and warm and safe. Marcus didn't sleep. He kept rereading Dr. Hoffman's letter, understanding now what she'd really left him. Not just money, but permission. Permission to be human, to struggle, to need help. Permission to accept grace without shame. The next morning, Marcus called Mrs. Patterson. "Do you need anything for your apartment? Repairs or bills or—" "Marcus Chen, if you've won the lottery, I'm happy for you, but I don't need— You watched my girls when I couldn't pay you properly. You fed them cookies and love when I was too tired to do more than the basics. Please let me do this." Her voice softened. "My roof leaks. Consider it fixed." He called the elementary school, setting up the college fund for every child in Sophia's class to have money for field trips. Anonymous, he insisted. No recognition. He called his landlord about buying the building and renovating every unit, making them safe and warm and livable for the families struggling just like he had been. The money opened doors, but more than that, it opened his heart. For 2 years, Marcus had lived in survival mode, too exhausted for anything beyond the next shift, the next meal, the next crisis. Now he could breathe. He could dream again. He enrolled in online courses to finish his degree. He took the girls to the ocean, watching them shriek with joy as waves chased them up the beach. He bought books without checking prices and kept the heat on and said yes to ice cream and place visits and all the small joys poverty had stolen. His family heard about the inheritance. Money has a way of traveling faster than love. And suddenly his phone rang with voices he hadn't heard in 2 years. His mother wanted to visit. His brother needed investment in a business venture. His sister thought the girls should reconnect with their heritage. Marcus listened politely and said no. "But we're family," his mother protested. "Family doesn't abandon each other when things get hard," Marcus said quietly. "You taught me that, Mom. Then you showed me it wasn't true. The people who were family when I had nothing, Mrs. Patterson, the librarians who let us stay warm, the food bank volunteers, Dr. Hoffman, they're my family now." He hung up, feeling lighter than he had in years. On the first anniversary of receiving the inheritance, Marcus started the Sophia and Emma Foundation, funding scholarships for single parents pursuing education. He worked with domestic violence shelters, paid off medical debts for families drowning in bills, and created a fund for children of incarcerated parents. Quiet help, anonymous when possible, because Dr. Hoffman was right. The world didn't need more millionaires. It needed more people who remembered what struggle felt like and chose to ease it for others. 5 years later, Marcus stood at his graduate school commencement, his daughters in the front row holding a banner that read, "We're proud of you, Daddy." His PhD in social work had taken longer than traditional students, but he'd done it while raising his girls, while building a foundation, while learning to be happy again. That night, tucking now 13-year-old Sophia into her own room in their comfortable house, she asked the question that had been coming. "Did you ever regret not taking Grandma and Grandpa back? Other kids have big families." Marcus sat on the edge of her bed, choosing his words carefully. "I don't regret protecting you girls from people who love conditionally. You deserve better than that. We all do. What about Mom? Do you hate her for leaving?" He'd known this conversation would come too. "I don't hate her, sweetheart. I'm sad about what happened, confused by it, hurt by it, but hate takes energy I'd rather spend on you and your sister. Some people aren't capable of staying. That's their loss, not your fault." Sophia nodded, processing. "Dr. Hoffman must have been an amazing person." She was. And you know what made her most amazing? She paid attention. She noticed people struggling and did something about it. That's a kind of superpower. Is that why we help people now? Marcus smiled. We help people because we remember what it's like to need help. And because Dr. Hoffman believed we would. I'm just trying to prove her right. Later, standing in his backyard watching fireflies dance in the summer darkness, Marcus thought about the man he'd been 5 years ago. Desperate. Exhausted, abandoned, barely surviving. He thought about his girls reading in the library while he sat in a cold car, too proud or too ashamed to ask for help he desperately needed. He thought about Dr. Hoffman, who'd seen potential in a struggling student decades ago and believed in him even when he'd stopped believing in himself. The money had changed everything and nothing. His daughters still loved mac and cheese, though now it was a choice rather than a necessity. They still visited the library, though now they also had overflowing bookshelves at home. He still worked hard, but now his work was purpose-driven rather than survival-driven. The real inheritance wasn't the $30 million. It was the reminder that goodness exists, that kindness echoes across decades, that one person's belief can alter the trajectory of an entire family. Inside, Emma called for help with her homework. Sophia was video chatting with friends, her laughter floating through the open window. Normal sounds, happy sounds, the sounds of children who knew they were loved, safe, and valued. Marcus walked inside to his life, imperfect, hard-won, and more precious than any bank account could ever hold. He'd been abandoned by blood family but found by a family of choice. He'd been broken by poverty but rebuilt by grace. He'd been deemed unworthy by the people, who should have loved him unconditionally but found worthy, by a woman who owed him nothing. And every day he tried to pass that forward, one struggling parent at a time, one family on the edge at a time, one act of quiet kindness at a time. Because Dr. Hoffman had been right about everything, especially this. The world needed more people who understood that success without compassion was just accumulation, that wealth without purpose was just numbers, that the true measure of a life wasn't what you gained, but what you gave. Marcus Chen had been a poor single, father abandoned by everyone who should have stood by him. Now he was a man who understood that family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when everything falls apart. And he spent every day showing up for people who needed someone to believe in them, the way Dr. Hoffman had believed in him. That was the real $200 million secret. Love, freely given, compounds forever.